Hey Ubers, welcome to Gratitude Friday. The title of today's video is Packing Your Punch with Some Punch because I got so excited about last week's video, One Stamp Three Ways, that I wanted to take the same attitude and try to do it with my punch. So I was on a walk with my dogs and I found a big pile of more feathers. There had been some major duck quibbling at the pond and I arrived at just the right time. If you see, it's like one duck had pulled out individual strands of feathers from another duck's body, and it got such a soft, fluffy feel. There's nothing like it. It's just a regular feather. But if you've visited my blog or watched any recent videos, I've been playing around with feathers a lot. I really like the textural element that they add to the card face. I also picked up some of these feathers from my local craft store. Looks like these ones have been dyed kind of a funky green. I'm thinking they may come in to good use for Halloween cards or a card for a funky friend. We're going to use Bo Bunny's 6x6 pad in Ambrosia. It's their Ambrosia collection. As soon as I got this one, I started using it, and here you can see some of the papers. They're floral, and I'll show you a shot of a hat I made this week for the Bo Bunny Current Challenge. It's a vintage hat card. It's a shaped card, and I used papers from this collection. It's floral, but it's not cutesy. I don't really do much of the cutesy stuff. And warm, and yet there are some really nice cool colors in there too, a nice light aqua blue. So that's our Fiskars Jenny Bolin banner punch, and we're going to use the Ambrosia papers to make a really eclectic, funky, fantastical butterfly. So I'm cutting out pairs of banner shapes, so 2 of the green and 2 of the pink and 2 of the blue, to make the body of the butterfly. And while I'm doing that, because it's just very basic, I just want to talk about a few things. The banner punch, of course, can be used to make a banner. And although I haven't really made many cards with banners, they really add a very celebratory look to your card. That alone can really add such joy to the card front. And you can, look at that shape and think of a whole host of other possibilities. It could make the base of an ice cream cone. It could be the top of like a gnome-like shaped hat or a birthday hat. If you arrange the banner pieces in a circle, emanating out from a central point, you can make a pretty funky flower. And that could be from the pointed end or the flat scalloped end. If you do it from the flat scalloped end, it could create like a starburst type of look. So my card front is going to be a dark chocolate, and I'm just putting some stitching with my white gel pen around, and I didn't want to show you that because we all know how to do that. And this is just the end of it, because I think that little touch is in line with the way these butterflies will look in the end. And then before I actually adhere the butterfly to my card, I'm just going to put my sentiment, because I already tried this once and my butterflies ended up kind of not in the position where I wanted. This is a Studio G woodblock stamp, and it's got a really curvy script on it, and I've been using it recently. And I'm using my Juicy Frost White Color Box pigment ink. And as you know, with the dark card front, if you were to use a dye ink, the sentiment wouldn't show up. So that's where pigment inks come in really handy. And with these pigment inks, you can also, because they're so juicy and they stay wet for quite a long time, you can sprinkle some embossing powder on there and emboss it and add a little shine to your card front. I'm going to add some extra stitching in the same line of the sentiment, because there's going to be a lot of blank space on the card. I started playing along with the people at CAS-ual Fridays. It's like a card making challenge website, blog, and they encourage all the people who play along to make cards in a very clean and simple style. So CAS, casual, clean, and simple. And honestly, only recently did I realize what CAS stood for. And it kind of makes sense because I tend to work in a much more intricate style and really fill up the card face. So I'm falling a little bit behind on my narration. I just drew a few lines with a pencil lightly to sort of plot out where I want to put my butterflies. So this was this little blue piece was cut from the Martha Stewart leaf punch. I folded it in half. I stuck some glue dots in the inside, and I folded the feather in there. I am also creating a little fold at the base so that these antennae, which is what these things are going to end up being, will lift off the page. And then I'm curving the top portion with my fingers as if they were a bone folder. I would probably use a bone folder, but it's been lost in the mess of my craft room for weeks. So I think I've got to go out and get another one. So that's what the antennae are going to look like. I think they're so cute. So we're going to put those aside while we work on the rest of the body of the butterfly. And what I did with all of those banner-shaped pieces is I scored down the middle of each banner piece, right down the middle. And those all got folded because that's going to add some dimension to my card front. And you guys know how much I like texture. So, so these are all going to go down. So you want to imagine there's a line going on a diagonal down my card front, and that's going to be the central line of the butterfly. And I'm putting some Tombow mono multi-glue down one side of that banner piece and carefully adhering it down to my card front. So the butterfly wing is going to have a big top portion and a smaller bottom portion. And if there's a red piece on the left, I also wanted to have a red piece on the right. Being as careful as possible to put those pieces down in a balanced way, so they're, you know, mirror images of each other down that central line of the butterfly body. Oh, you got to look at my messy craft room. I'm definitely going to have to make a concerted effort to clean this up this weekend because I've got a lot of other projects coming up really soon, and I need to have it organized in here. Okay, so I put the Tombow mono multi-glue down on the next piece to go down, just on one side, and you know, I sort of overlapping the pink piece just a little bit. And I'm going to speed this up a little bit because you can see what I'm doing. You get the right idea. I'm going to do that with 3 pieces. And I don't know if I told you, but for the month of March, Paper Crafts Magazine is having a challenge for rainbows and, you know, rainbow coloring, gradients of rainbows, bold bands of color. So it sort of got me in the mood to be very colorful with my cards. And I made another one prior to this one, which is exactly in the sequence of, you know, the spectrum of colors. But for this one, I'm being a little bit more free with myself and just placing down whatever pieces I have. There was also another challenge for using your scraps, And I'm just such a big fan of punches to use up scraps because you can really get them into the tiny nooks and crannies of what you've got left, and get some extra use out of something you'd otherwise throw in the garbage. I wanted to show you this. It's a little finding I made when I was living in Los Angeles. These are the little embellishments that go on jeans. And actually, the bags, I got a couple of bags of them. And just wait a second, it'll focus in a second. Isn't that great? They only had one half of it. I think they sort of like click together, and they only had a bag of one side. But this is fine. I'm going to put a couple of these down the central line of the butterfly to cover up where all of those pieces meet. You can see, I don't know what happened, I lost another portion of the video with the bottom portion of the wings. But what I did was cut off the top part, the pointiest part of the banner piece for those bottom two, the smaller parts of the wings. And then I adhered them just the same way I adhered the other pieces. I put my We Are Memory Keepers eyelet punch right in the center, and I punched out a little hole. And these findings that I got from the fabric district in downtown LA are going to fit right into those little holes. You can just shove them in there. And I think to make them stick, I'm just going to go on the underside of the brown card front and throw some hot glue onto that so that it stays put. I don't want to have to deal with any adhesive on the front. And there you go. There's your butterfly with, you know, my version of their awesome, awesome antenna. And I think these little embellishments down the central portion give the butterflies a little bit of a steampunk. That's what it's called, a steampunk sort of look. I think if I had used different colors of papers, it would really have played that up quite a bit. And I'm so glad I got to use these things that have been sitting around for a while. And so here's the other one. I made it in exactly the same way, but with papers that were just a little bit different. And that's that card. Normally I like to include the audio on my videos of, you know, your stamp hitting the stamp pad, or, you know, the sound of the punching the paper. It's almost the same way I really like cooking shows where you can hear like things sizzling on the pan. But unfortunately right now I don't have a video camera that functions well in that regard. There's this really loud buzz. So I apologize for that. But I think for my birthday I'm getting a new camera that's going to be awesome. I'm using a 3/4 inch circle punch, and I think this one is from EK Success, to cut out some black circles. So this is another use for punches. So you got circles. Circles have so many possibilities and are so versatile. I much prefer them to actually having to draw a razor around in a circle with the various things that are out there. And this is my Fisker's heart punch. So the circle is not a circle and the heart is not a heart. And the papers I'm using are from Paper Tray ink. They're a real sturdy cardstock. And here's my Color Box Pigment ink in black. I'm actually using a stamp set from Paper Tray ink. That's a ladybug stamp set, but I'm not going to use any of the ladybugs. There's a tiny little bloom that I'm going to use on the heart in just this way. So can you tell what this is going to be? I'm making some funky little ladybugs. You guys know how much I love ladybugs. And with these blooms, I think they add a really cute touch to the ladybug. So once you get those hearts cut out and you get them stamped, you're going to want to put them aside for a little bit unless you heat emboss them and make them a little shiny. I thought about that as a possibility with these ladybugs, embossing just the black flowers, or you could go ahead and put some glossy accents on the entire top portion of the ladybug, this red section. But I didn't, so I put those aside for a little bit, and then once they were dry, I scored down the middle. So that you can see how that's going to come together. It's going to be really cute. And what you're going to do is put that little heart shape up on a pop dot. And I put it somewhat in the middle because we're actually going to do something. You don't want to put it too close to one end or the other because it's going to show through and you're not going to be able to do what I want to do with this ladybug. Okay, so that's the ladybug body, and we're going to do that with all three. And why don't I just speed through this section because I'm going to do the exact same thing. You could make a bunch of these and put them all over your card front. And I was tempted to do that, but really, for you to see how I made it, I only needed to show you a few. But, in reality, when you've got a bunch of ladybugs in your garden, they are swarming all over the plants that need their help, and I just love them. So, yeah, if you haven't yet, please come visit me on my blog, contadinak.wordpress.com. And I always supply my materials lists over there. And you can also get a little bit of reading material because I always include some musings I have on craft, art, nature, and life. So I really, if you haven't already, please, I would love it if you would subscribe to me over there and over here if you can. So I took a little button and I strung some twinery twine through it. I don't know if you saw it, but that was, I got a couple of little spools of twine, which was great. But there were a couple of colors that I got. I just got a small amount and they came in this little wrapped up bundle, but it all got tangled. So I'm going to have to remember, it's been very inconvenient. I'm going to have to remember to, once I get a small amount of twine, to rewrap it in something that won't get all tangled. So I'm tying that up, and those are going to be the antenna, and I just thought that was so cute. I was oohing and ahhing when I had the idea to do that, but I think it's just a really cute way to include some antenna that pop off the card front a little bit. So I'm going to put down the sentiment, and once again, this is the sentiment that came with the stamp set from Paper Tray Ink, but I'm actually not using any of the ladybug stuff that came from them. And I'm going to wrap the twine actually in a vertical arrangement several times around my card front. I'm going to speed this section up because you've seen me do this before, and I'm sure you do it as well. So I'm just wrapping that twine around there several times to add some interest to the left-hand side of my card and draw the eye a little bit upward. And I'm going to create my little miniature pom-pom that I often do on my cards. So you just tie that in a knot, and then what you do is cut just 3 or 4 pieces of the same twine at like 1.5 to 2 inch lengths, and then lay them in the center of, on top of that knot that I just made, and then you just tie them all up. You tie them all up and chop off the excess to make a pom-pom that's as big as it pleases you, and then that's that for that. So I wanted to arrange my little ladybugs in kind of an organic way. I didn't want them like straight across the page or anything. So I took a little time to sort of figure out where I wanted them to go on the card. Then you're gonna, I adhered them down with some more Tombow mono multi-glue. And while I'm doing that, I just wanted to share with you, I don't know if you saw me using a new tool at the beginning of the video. I ran out of my glue dots from Dot & Go, which I love, and I sent my man out to go get some more for me because I've got to stay home with my pupusa, my little pupusa, because she just had surgery. And he couldn't find it, but he picked up this glue dot dispenser from Imaginis. It's called Pogo. I don't know if any of you guys use them, but it's cool. The glue dot is a lot more thin, which can be good if you don't want to add bulk to your card front. But one thing I'm finding, I think it's better for projects that are bigger, maybe for layouts. Because I work on such a small scale, it was really hard for me to see where the glue dot exactly was going. So, I don't know, if I get into layouts, I may use that a little bit more often. So I used some hot glue to adhere those buttons down. And I pushed down really hard so that the wings, the bottom curvy part of the wings, lifted upwards. So it's as if they're like about to take flight. And one mistake that I made that I hope you don't make is I put a little bit too much hot glue. So it shows through a little bit. So for the next endeavor with these ladybugs, I'll be extra careful not to do that. But you get the idea, and I just thought it was a really cute ladybug. So here's the card in daylight. I had been thinking maybe of adding little spots, green spots, to represent the aphids that they eat, but I don't think non-gardening people would get it. So I didn't do that. And in not doing so, I'm also keeping the card CAS. And you can see here there's some glue, hot glue that's visible, so that was a little bit unfortunate. But I think these little critters are very cute on the card front. And, red, white, and black is always such a great color combination. So this was another use for your heart punch and your circle punch. I've never seen it before. You may have, but regardless, the point is to really start looking at your tools with fresh eyes and see what else you can do with them. So this is the card that we made in the beginning with our eclectic butterflies. And there you get to see a close-up of the softness that the feathers lend to the card, and then the little embellishments that I got in downtown LA. You could also use in that position pearl brads, sticky pearls, self-stick pearls, I mean, eyelets. I did that on another card. I just used eyelets. So, or just bling, like jewels that you could hot glue, or self-adhesive jewels, all depending on the look. And what I've also found is that it so much depends when you're trying to find different uses for the punch. It so much depends on the paper. And I just wanted to leave you with this last shot. I was so excited about the idea I had for this card this week. Bo Bunny had a challenge for shaped cards, and so I used their ambrosia papers to hand draw and cut out hat shape, kind of like the hats that the women wore in the roaring 20s. And then I used some die cut dies and my die cut machine to cut out some of these beautiful flowers and also make that leaf. And if you're interested in learning how to make that leaf, you can watch my other video, Lacquered Leaves. If you just visit my channel, you can find it there. I also did a little blog post on this hat, so if you're interested in the materials and how I made it, you can go over to my blog and find out. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you next time. Have a great weekend. Bye.